We are in what is referred to as the Kali Yuga, an age in which man's inhumanity to man is raging in a way that we see in our headlines each and every day. The leaders do things premeditated, calculated acts of evil, lies. We see folks like this Representative Weiner, former Representative Weiner from New York, that has the temerity to say that he's broken no law and so he need not resign, when he can't see the contradiction, that he's broken the oaths that he made not only to his bride, but to his God. It's disgusting that people can't see some of these things, these evident contradictions. And yet, Lee, what I'd like to say is this. My friend, you are articulate, you're clearly knowledgeable, you can make a difference. It's just a matter of finding the right medium, the right voice for you. I know personally that it can be difficult to try to visit with people one-on-one and inform them. That's part of the effect of this enchantment that's been placed over us in this Kali Yuga. I'll give you an example. Just over a month ago, maybe it's about 5 weeks now, I created a YouTube channel for anyone who's interested to go see. It's called Crimson Pill TV is the name of the channel on YouTube. And in just over 5 weeks, I'm in the neighborhood of 50,000 views now. I've found an avenue to have a voice and to get my message out. And for you, Lee, I'm not sure if it might be blogging or writing or setting up a YouTube channel, but I can tell, sir, that you are informed enough. You're exactly what we need on the winning team, and I hope that you'll find that medium that's right for you and be engaged.
Thank you for that suggestion, and I'll take that into consideration.
Very good. Well, Lee, any final thoughts here before I turn back to covering some of these articles and such?
No final thoughts. I just want to. I hope to God that we come out of this somehow and survive.
Well, Lee, you're placing your hope in the right camp with the right person, and I think that if each one of us continues to remember and be humble and realize that we are instruments in His service, then we do have some hope. We do have some hope to get this ship turned around. So, Lee, thank you so very much for listening to the show and for calling in. I appreciate your time.
Okay, take care.
Thank you. Bye-bye. So, folks, I feel so much empathy for, what Lee has described to us, what it feels like to be looking right into the face of all of this evil and to feel overwhelmed, to feel like there's little or nothing that we can do at an individual level. And yet, I promise you, I implore you, there is a tremendous amount that we can do at an individual level. And unfortunately, so many of us, we begin our efforts of trying to educate people with those who are closest to us. I'd like you to think about the biblical reference. No man is a prophet in his own land. And then I'd like you to think of a more colloquial axiom, which is to say that familiarity breeds contempt. As comforting or as confidence building as it might seem like it would be to try to inform our own family members first or our close friends first, unfortunately, it seems like the laws of psychology and physics work together to make those be the audiences or the people who are the least likely to hear it. So try to find your voice. Try to find your medium. If you can write, start writing. If you can talk, start talking. Find an avenue for a radio show. Produce or upload videos to YouTube that allow you to speak your mind. And you will, I promise you, you will have a following. People will hear you. But we each have to make that difference ourselves. Now, I want to come back to the article that we had left off from. It's from 2010 from Fortune on CNNmoney.com by Alan Sloan, posted February 4th of 2010. When we discussed that without the change, Social Security in 2010 was projected to go $28 billion in the hole, it wound up being closer to $60 or $65 billion in the hole. I'm going to skip forward in the article in the interest of time. Why disregard the interest? Well, because people like me have said repeatedly over the years, the interest, which consists of nothing more than Treasury IOUs, and the Social Security Trust Fund gets on its holdings of government securities, doesn't provide Social Security with any cash that it can use to pay its bills. The interest is merely an accounting entry with no economic significance. I'm skipping forward again. If you go to the aforementioned pages in the CBO, Congressional Budgeting Office update, and consult the tables on them, you see that the Budget Office projects smaller cash deficits for fiscal 2011 and 2012. Folks, those once again are based on their pie-in-the-sky projections of what revenues would be, and we have known that unemployment, real unemployment, not the lies and muddied-up statistics that our government foists upon us, but real unemployment and underemployment in the U.S. continues to grow. The scale of magnitude is rising. And that's why those numbers are falsified also. Social Security currently provides more than half of the income for the majority of retirees. Well, any of you who are out there and drawing on it, you already understand that just now, today, you're perhaps barely able to meet your financial obligations, and yet they're already talking about reducing the size of those payments as part of this plan. Oh, it would have been a lot simpler to fix the system years ago when we could have used Social Security's cash surpluses to buy non-treasury securities. That's correct. That entire filing cabinet filled with nothing but IOUs. Also, by the way, all of those eggs have been placed in one basket. That basket, as much as this should chill you to the bone, that basket is carried by Tim Geithner, and it is destined to be dropped and spilled. Government expects to borrow about $1.5 trillion in fiscal year 2010 to cover its other obligations. Folks, it is not a pretty picture. It is not pleasant to look at this, but if we do not look this directly in the eye, arm ourselves with the facts and with the truth, we will be ill-equipped to enter the fray, and that's exactly what we need to do. Please listen to our sponsors and support them. We'll be back in just one moment. And ladies and gentlemen, at 5 minutes to the top of the hour, you're back with Antonin Feori on the Crimson Pill here on Republic Broadcasting Network. Hearing one of our sponsors just a moment ago, Berkey Water Filtration, I have to make mention that I and my loved one, we did purchase a Berkey Light water system. We've been absolutely thrilled with how it works. It's lightweight and portable. We're able to take it on a camping trip, but we're using it for our own filtration's sake here in the home each and every day. We've got the filters on it that help remove the fluoride from the water, and I think so many folks in our listening audience understand all about that subject of fluoride in the water. We're happy to know that we are no longer experiencing the ill effects of that thanks to our Berkey water filter system. People, if you have pen and paper available, I'd like you to make note of two different articles that I'm not going to have time to cover in depth today, but if you do a Google or Yahoo search for these, you'll be able to find them. The first article, this is from the Gazette.com. This is a paper in Colorado Springs. The title of this article is Government Will Have to Borrow to Pay Social Security IOUs. It's dated March 14th of 2010. Again, Gazette.com, Colorado Springs, March 14th, 2010. Government will have to borrow to pay Social Security IOUs. It is a total of, in the ballpark, of $2.6 trillion in IOUs from the federal government payable to the Social Security Administration. Skipping down in the article, just to give a teaser, too bad the federal government already spent that money over the years on other programs, preferring to borrow from Social Security rather than foreign creditors. In return, the Treasury Department issued a stack of IOUs in the form of Treasury bonds, which are kept in a nondescript office building just down the street from Parkersburg's municipal offices. The other article I'd like you to do a search for, this is dated September 8th of 2009, written by Kevin G. Hall from McClatchy newspapers, McClatchy, M-C-C-L-A-T-C-H-Y. The title of this article should say it all. A year after financial crisis, a new world order emerges. McClatchy newspaper, Tuesday, September 8th, 2009, written by Kevin G. Hall. A year after financial crisis, a new world order emerges. Now, folks, $2.6 trillion that the crooks in Washington have raided from our piggy bank, and it is gone, and the piggy bank itself is shattered. What does that mean? So many of us have lost the scale, the scope of what $1 trillion really is. Well, I want to quote from a Associated Press writer, Jim Abrams, January 26, 2010, when he offers a few viewpoints for us on how to put that into context. Thinking of counting to 1 trillion 1 second at a time? So if you started counting 1 by 2 by 3 each 1 second after the next, that would take you 31,688 years to reach 1 trillion. How about this? Back in 1981, President Ronald Reagan, characterizing the national debt as it approached $1 trillion, he commented that, quote, $1 trillion would be a stack of $1,000 bills 67 miles high. That's right, $1,000 bills 67 miles high. That makes $1 trillion. The national debt right now, the accumulation of the deficits, stands at almost 14. It's the ballpark of 14 trillion. They're arguing about whether or not they'll raise that debt ceiling. You bet they will. You bet they will, to pay off those international bankers that they are enslaved by. But at the time that this article was written, the debt was at $12 trillion. That stack of $1,000 bills would be 804 miles high. Can you imagine? How about this? A trip around the world at the equator is about 25,000 miles. So 1.35 trillion miles would be a dizzying 54 million trips around the Earth's equator. I've got another one for you. The Washington Monument out in D.C. stands 555 feet tall. So if you stacked the Washington Monument end to end, it would take more than 2.4 billion with a B monuments in order to reach 1.35 trillion feet.